Hi, I'm Brian Lord, Senior Vice President of Premier Speakers Bureau.
I think you ought to start over.
I should do that here?
Just
should
loosen up a little. Loosen up.
I know, I'm trying to. Actually, we'll just keep all this in. I don't care. Anyway, I'm here with non-motivational speaker, non-comedian Andy Andrews.
That's exactly right.
That's what we should do here. So anyway, Andy, all right, we're here, and I know it's a little bit different. I've booked you over the past 3 or 4 years. I booked you for more corporations than any other speaker.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I've told your manager that. Maybe they haven't passed that down. But anyway, as somebody who's not a motivator and who's not a comedian, now I'm going to put you on the spot since you're putting me on the spot. Why do audiences react with so much laughter and are so motivated afterwards if you're not a comedian and not a motivational speaker?
Well, I do tell people, you're right. I tell people, if what you want is for somebody to tell you to have a good attitude, I am not your guy, because I kind of feel like your mother should have told you that, And because I'm more into proof than I am encouragement. Mm-hmm. I think, and people come up to me afterwards and say, boy, for somebody who's not a motivational speaker, I sure am ready to go. And I always say, well, it's not my fault, because I believe that people respond to proof much better than they respond to anything else. Mm-hmm. And when people see that there's a natural, I guess, push away from somebody going, hey, come on, you can do it, let's get on going. Because, I mean, that lasts about as long as the guy's in the room, right? And I'm not a cynical person, but I am a skeptical person, right? And I want to accomplish great things, and I'm fine to do whatever you tell me to do, but give me a reason to do it. And so, to me, I see people react in unbelievable ways when you can prove something beyond the logical doubt. Mm-hmm. And I think that when people know something they didn't know before and realize that they can apply it immediately to get greater results, more sales, more personal, good things going on. When they realize they can apply it immediately, well, they're just naturally excited. And so it's not, there's a difference in that than motivation. I think motivation is very short. It's like a shower. It feels really good, but then tomorrow, here we go again. Why do we do that again? Sure.
Well, that's one of the things, though, is everything's a little counterintuitive. You're just telling me, that as a speaker, you generally break all the rules of what the speakers say A, B, or C, here's what you do. So, you talk about leadership. So you go to and talk to a group about leadership. And just for the, event planners with the status, things you have to have. Well, he's a New York Times bestseller. And one of those is the traveler's gift. Right. And you talk about these things that happened hundreds or thousands of years ago. And how in the world does that apply to leaders today? Say somebody's planning a leadership conference. How does that apply to leaders today?
One of the amazing things that we find about leadership is that over and over again, it is overplayed, right? I talk to people who feel like, well, thank God I'm not a leader. And I want to say, ooh, we might need to rethink this. Yeah. Do you have kids? You're a leader, right? Do you have a friend you care about? You're a leader. And so there's a huge difference in what people perceive leadership to be and in what it really is. Mm-hmm. And so even when you're doing a leadership conference, one of the first things that is absolutely necessary is to engage people who would ordinarily check out mentally because they think, well, it's not really for me. Yeah. And so one of my biggest things, I do a lot of these leadership things, and as you know, we've got this thing we do with just 30 or 40 people, and I guess the smallest group has been 11. But the most important thing for a group of leaders is to understand that there is so much more that they can actually accomplish. The things that they fight, of course, are, well, this is the way the industry is, or this is the way economy is, and I hear what you're saying, but reality says, and see, I just met with a group of people the other day, and I told them right off the bat, because this was a leadership thing, this is a very small group, and I said, I know reality is going to tell you one thing, but what you really need to understand, that if you're doing things like everybody's doing them, you're doing something wrong. Yeah. Because everybody's having a hard time, right? Right? And so even if you're doing what everybody else is doing, you're only contributing to the average. And even if you're the high part of the average, you don't want to be average. You want to be way above average, which means you're going to have to do something different than you normally would do. And it's always a thinking thing. It's never it's never, it's rarely anything else. I mean, I go into companies and I know immediately there's only three things that it could be. When you talk to a leadership group and they're wanting to leap into great production or incredible process or something like this, and you know some of the numbers. We've had phenomenal success with some of these people, and 400% is the best we've done. Okay, but that was pretty good. But we go in and there's only three things, Brian, that it could be. It could be their price, it could be their product, or it could be their people.
Right.
Now, their price is competitive. So it's probably not that. The product is what it is. We're probably not going to go and change the product. So it's always the people. Now, that's good news because you look at your decisions. And I met with a group that was a Fortune 500 company and, $1 billion and stuff, and they're forecasting to lose this year like $12 million. And so everybody, at first everybody's like, well, this is the way an industry is, and this is the way. I said, okay, well, we got to think differently. Because the best thinking that we've come up with so far, years of success, and all the great thoughts and all the great decisions have got us to a point where this year we're going to lose $12 million. And so somewhere along the line we got to. And so it is a process of helping people think differently to better results, and that is a leadership thing that most people ignore, frankly.
Yeah. Now, one of the other big groups that I book you to speak for are sales groups. And I know you mentioned the 400% increase. How do you approach that group differently? Or, how, and when you do your speeches, we've got the 7 decisions are one of the most popular things.
Right.
The noticer has been great just because with the noticer, it talks so much about perspective. And over the past, 4 or 5 years, that's come in so strongly. What do you pick out of the noticer, the traveler's gift, that you can use to help with sales groups or those groups who you're not a motivational speaker, but those groups need to be motivated?
I do. I love working with sales groups, and here's salesmanship or good sales process is a lot like leadership, and so the first thing that I had to realize, and when I really figured this out, because with the 400% was kind of at the early part of when I started doing this particular thing. And so, at first you think, how did that happen? And you go and reverse engineer it, and then you think, okay, how do we make it happen again? Well, we have become incredibly value-oriented. And that's my whole thing as a speaker, especially with sales groups. I mean, what my goal is. My goal is for somebody to say, well, how much is he? Well, he's $1 million a day. Oh, my gosh, we could never afford him. Yeah, but every time we get him, we, in a week we make $5 million. Oh, could we have him speak every day? And so this is what I want to create huge value. We've all seen speakers that was a quarterback or a pitcher, and we paid him a lot of money, and pretty much we had a guy we could take our pictures with and tell everybody who was there. But I want people to understand. I want to prove value, and so with sales groups, we can. And we do consistently, and a large part of that result comes from helping people understand who they're selling to and how to create value and markets that don't exist. I mean, we've worked this with literally, I've had a hand in the last 3 national championships in football, the BCS national championships, and a lot of that, especially the last one, had to do with sales. It's a great story, but there is somebody. I mean, you got to be faster, you got to be stronger, you got to be smart, but you're also selling to the officials, right? And you're not just selling to them at game time. They're watching you all season long, and so they're going out with preconceived ideas. And so to help people understand, hey, just like leadership, we're all in sales. You got kids, you're in sales. You're married, you're in sales. You got a great marriage, you're just better in sales than a lot of people. And so to help people understand that you really can consistently, and people ask about the 400%, how you do it, and it was real estate, okay? And people say, how in the world could you possibly do that? Well, it's easy when you understand that you can help people compete at a level that the competition doesn't even know there's a game going on. I mean, there has never been a better time in America, an easier time to defeat the competition than now. You just got to know what you're doing.
Now, one of the things we're big at Premier, as you know, is helping event planners look good and making their lives easier. So
Right.
how do you do that?
I'm friends with a lot of these people. I ended up being friends with a lot of them.
And I can back that up because they call me and, oh, Andy and I were talking the other day. Yes.
Well, I think I think a lot of it is I like to think of them in terms of my own life. I mean, I'm a daddy, I'm a husband, I'm a business person, I'm traveling, I'm tired, just sometimes like they are.
Yeah.
And so one of the first things I always do is I always call them when I get to the hotel and either leave a message or talk to them in person and say, hey, just letting you know, I'm here and I'm in room so-and-so, so I just want to let you take me off the list of the things you have to be worried about, okay? So just don't worry about me. And if you got anything special for me, give me a call. And so, I'm on time and I'm careful. My whole thing is I want to make them look good. Mm-hmm. I want, and the only way they're going to look good is if everybody enjoys it and everybody feels empowered by what we do. Mm-hmm. But better than make them look good, event planners, I want them to get business from it.
Yeah.
Okay? I want them, and I'll stand around afterwards and people, and you know this, over and over again, I have people say, my husband actually has a company that, or can we get you in for the so-and-so? And I always say, that's her. Boy, I mean, she's the one. People say, hey, thanks for so-and-so. Yeah, well, thank her, because she made all this. I just got out and talked.
Yeah.
And because I know, listen, these people are in a race too.
Yeah.
And they're working to do their business in a great way too. And so that's part of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks again for coming on. And for you folks out there, underneath your screen here, you can see a link here on how you can watch more videos, read about all of Andy's different speech topics, and see his super cool book covers and everything else. So, and then, of course, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Who knows, we may have some bonus footage of Andy afterwards. So thanks again. Thanks
Awesome.
again for coming on, man.
Thank you, buddy.
I appreciate it.